Welcome to the Cancer Journey podcast. I'm Alicia,
And I'm Sherry Ann.
and we're going to start with Pesh. So, Sherry Ann, do you want to do your Pesh first?
Yes. Okay. So physically, I am a 7.9, emotionally 8, spirit 8.75, hope 9.3, and my word is happy.
Okay.
Your turn.
Physically, I am an 8.5. Emotionally, I am a 7.5. Spiritually, an 8. And hope is an 8.5. And my word is tiles.
Bios. Okay. That's
Just
an
where I'm at
interesting,
right now.
the interesting word conjures up an image of piles. Uh, I don't think that I've ever, in all the while we've been doing Pesh, ever said happy. I've said variations of
Mhm.
words, but that one is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And and I think it's related to the topic that we're going to talk about today, and that is a topic I've been wanting to talk about out loud for a while, and I've been hesitant because I'm afraid of some of the backlash that we'll get because it's such a mainstay in
Hmm.
the cancer journey or just in the cancer world.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the topic of holding the cancer experience as a journey instead of a battle.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. We always hear like you're fighting cancer, you're battling it. And it's not a wrong perspective, but for such a vulnerable space, it can be
Right.
overwhelming.
And it has so many layers, right? So there is this, um, for me, when I first hear, battling, I feel obviously like the warrior. We talk about that a lot when we're um, in the cancer journey and at the Cancer Journey Institute. And there is this undercurrent of that with the ribbon movement.
Hmm.
It's like we're battling together, we're warrioring up. And to me, that whole warrior stance is hard and it's
Hmm.
harsh and it's really like I'm armoring up, I'm steeling myself so that things don't penetrate in. And that's not the journey.
Yeah, no, yeah, I hear you. And just for clarity within our curriculum, we have these four phases of awareness and one of them is warrior, and it is this persona that we so often put on, especially with cancer. You warrior up, you put on your armor to protect yourself. And there's also a flip side to it too. So there's the martyr, but even looking at cancer through this battle fighting mentality means that's a war. It's a war of us against the cancer. But it's such a
Right.
hard perspective because, to an extent, you are one the same with your cancer. It's a part of you and this experience you're going through right now. It's not like an equal opposing force like in a war, right? You have like your enemies on the other side. It isn't necessarily your enemy, and we don't have to perceive it as such as you're traveling your cancer journey.
Right. And yet, I mean, I've caught myself using the word battle, even when I was going through my cancer journeys, because it does feel like you're at war with yourself, with these cells that are trying to take over. So in a sense that it does feel like a war, but you're absolutely right. It's with myself. And so we're trying to like overcome and dare I say, kill off, right, the cancer cells. And so we're going through, whether it's traditional Western medicine with chemo and radiation and chemicals or surgery, we're trying to kill them off or remove them. And yet they're part of us. And it just feels like, so I think so that part is real. The part that doesn't make sense to me in my head and my spirit is that this sets me up to win or lose.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
if somebody passes away from cancer, people will say, "Oh, they lost their battle." But did they?
Mhm.
Because it's it just makes it so blamey.
Yeah,
Like they
absolutely.
didn't do the right stuff, or they did it wrong, or
And
they didn't
cancer's
fight hard
so
enough.
big. It's so big. Like you can't exert the control that you could in a like real battle, if you will. It's not how much effort you put into it. It's not that you didn't try hard enough. And there's just so, like you said before, there's so many layers to it that when you're going through a cancer journey, to hold yourself in that space of a battle, to be constantly fighting, can often just leave you feeling even more helpless, because it really no amount of efforting that you put in, no matter how well you plan your schedule and how well you do all these things, is that necessarily going to be the key to winning your cancer.
Right. Right. And that so I and that's why I really lean towards the journey
Mhm.
versus the battle, because the battle is hard, and just exactly like you said, it's win lose, and I get tired. I cannot battle forever. And
Mhm.
if I lose, then I did something wrong and now I'm blaming myself. I mean, it doesn't feel like a really great scenario. But when we look at it from a journey standpoint, it's more flowing and lucid and loose and kind of conscious. Not that a battle isn't conscious, but it's like, let me see what's here. Let me go with the flow. And I'm not saying let me succumb to cancer or let it overtake me,
Mhm.
but it's more of what's happening now? And where am I in it? Where am I showing up? How can,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, 'cause
more, go
because
ahead.
when you look at cancer from this warrior perspective, it has those really sharp elbows that are already pushing through whatever's going on, instead of allowing this experience to also start to creep into your life and start to integrate it with who you are. Maybe you're a planner, maybe you're not a planner, maybe you already have this breadth of resources, you're familiar with the terminology, and maybe you're not, but there's this connotation to the war and being so warriored up that you're just so constricted already, just preparing for the worst to happen, that you also can't enjoy the ease of some of the movement that comes with it. And then you sometimes don't give yourself the opportunity to really appreciate the high highs, because they're always coming with an anticipation of low lows. And yeah, that's just so, like, I'm putting myself in that space, and that's so, like, you're already constricting yourself. And don't get me wrong, cancer is a really big topic, and it's really scary. It'll always be really scary. No one walks in through cancer like, "Oh, okay, let's go take a stroll." Not at all what we're
Right,
saying.
right. That's not what we're saying.
Yeah, but to embrace that this is a journey that you're going to go on, whether you fight through it or you take your time through it and check in with yourself with what you need, it's it's always going to be hard. So why make it harder for yourself now?
Right, right. Because if you're setting yourself up with, okay, I've got a warrior up, I'm ready to fight, and I'm going into battle, then there's only one way.
Hmm.
It's that way.
Hmm.
Where if it's a journey and you're being conscious, and I'm not saying that we're like just kind of laying back going, whatever happens, happens. That's not it at all. But it's I'm present and I'm like, okay, so like you said, am I a planner or do I want to orchestrate things as best as I can? Or is it in collaboration with my practitioners? Whatever methodology or treatment I choose for me, it's like being really present and making decisions and maybe changing your mind and going a different path. I mean, it is like a journey, and I keep saying this word, so it's like an odyssey. It's like a I don't want to use the word adventure, and yet it has the elements of an adventure, right? And we even say that with the Cancer Journey Roadmap. It's like you start at the call, and then you get initiated into this new world,
Hmm.
and then we hit the pit. Everybody hits the pit. And so it's in there where we can roll with the wave,
Hmm.
or we ride on top of it and watch the horizon. I mean, there's lots of choices here. It's like,
Yes, yes,
how do we get
choices.
through that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you look at this experience as a battle, there's a recognition that with the fighting, there's some weakness that's gonna come with it too, right? Like you're not at your strongest self in a lot of ways. If anything, even just the call knocks you down. So
Right.
you need some ease, some softness to roll with those waves to figure out what you want instead of rigidly following this structure of this is how it's supposed to be now, and this is like how you're supposed to deal with cancer, and you're supposed to fight and throw all your punches. You can still throw as many punches as you want, but to have the softness to look at it as a journey means that there's a understanding. There's an understanding, and you're walking alongside with the cancer as it's showing up for you and as you're showing up with it each and every day. Um, that allows you to make those choices that really fit who you are, not doing, I have to do this because this is what I have to do to fight cancer. I have to choose this treatment. It's like, no, there are other like choices along the way, and you get to look at all those choices and then make your decision. You don't have to only choose one because that's what you're supposed to do to fight it. If there's like
Right.
days that you're tired, days that you um just need help, it also gives you the softness to ask for help.
Oh my goodness. That is a huge part. And
Hmm.
and what you just said, it's like every day really like just regular life is different. And so you're going to flow through that. I can hear the inner critic and negative ego of me going, "What are you saying? Of course you have to like steal up." I mean, it's a natural reaction to something that is huge, devastating, feels like it wants to kill you. I totally get that.
Yeah.
And there's also what you're saying with the riding the wave and noticing when, oh, this is a bad day and I need help, and asking for help, and knowing that you get to do that with your doctors. I have to say that the doctors are the experts in the science and the medicine. So I understand leaning into that. And I signed up for really harsh treatments for me. And particularly in the last cancer that I went through, where it was a chemo pill, it was running havoc in my body. Like, since I had a gastrointestinal stromal tumor that is basically a stomach cancer, I was having incredible stomach reactions. And so going through that particular part of the journey was not, I was going to say not pleasant, but really it was horrible. It
Yeah.
was literally horrible. And I remember being in Canada with you, and it was like this was really taking me down. And it was after that experience where I went back to the medical practitioners and I said, I can't keep doing this. This is worse than trying to keep living. Like I need to make a decision. And so if I'm fighting and I'm fighting, then I don't change the course. If I'm on a journey, I can go, that's not working for me. And I
Yes.
basically said, I need to be off this drug. And I got threatened. I just remember them saying, for every day that you're on this drug, you get to live another day. And I'm like, wow, that feels like major blackmail.
Hmm.
So do I have to accept that I'm making this decision because of what you said to either live another day or not? And I have to say, as I was just reflecting on this the other day, it's going to be 10 years this year that I know from that last cancer and I made this decision, but it was made by me flowing and being open and
Hmm.
being aware of how I'm feeling and what I want versus what the medical team said. I
Yeah.
took it in consideration, but I wanted to live a life that was true to me.
Hmm.
And
Absolutely.
and that fight, that battle, the way that I was doing it wasn't working.
Yes. And just we're not saying that doing that the main medical treatment is the battle. That's not the battle. The battle is the mindset that this is what I have to do and I cannot
Yes.
stray. Otherwise I'll lose. And even just
Yes.
putting yourself in that mindset of saying it's this or I die, it's so limiting and your body knows that difference. Your body knows the difference between allowing yourself to trust a path that you believe will really work for you, that really resonates with you, and giving up. Your body knows. And
Right.
everything in your being is affected by that mindset, which is also why the journey mindset is so important. I also did want to note that um you choose or you chose a journey mindset also by being on vacation in Canada. Like that's also a great journey choice. That's I have cancer. I'm tired. My body's tired, but I still want to enjoy my life to the fullest with as much time as I have.
I mean, those are some really serious questions to ask.
Yeah.
And I 10 years, so yay that, but we made this decision that was right for me. Not right for everybody else, but
Mhm.
right for me.
Yeah. And to have the space for yourself to come to that realization, right? The space to be like, I feel awful. I feel awful, and it's this treatment that's doing it. And at the very least, I want to know what my other options are. I want to know what the possibilities are. I mean, yes, taking the doctors into consideration is super important and they can be on this journey with you and that's also like such an important thing for us too. It's not saying it's a battle is not us against doctors. It's us wanting to work with the doctors. So they really get
Yes.
you. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
That's
And asking that and asking for what you need. And when you said our body knows. Here's it's not even a secret, but I find myself saying it a lot to cancer patients and even survivors, but nobody knows what you're feeling inside. They
Mhm.
don't know how a particular drug is reacting. They don't know what you're feeling. They don't know the pain or where it is. We literally have to communicate that.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
have a protocol and they believe, through percentages what's going to work. And that's great. I want to know that. I want to know the science. But Nobody knows what's happening inside my body. And so it is my job and my responsibility on this journey
Mhm.
to let them know so that we can travel together rather than, you know, taking axes and swords and guns and rocks and sticks, right? Trying to battle it. It's more like, what's going to make sense for
Yes.
me?
Yeah, absolutely. Even when you're saying that, it's like when I think of going to war and being in a battle and having all these weapons like you just named, all that puts completely aside the person. The person who's real, who has all of these thoughts and feelings and um life, so much life. So when we start to think of something as a battle, we almost start to lose our sense of self and put our what makes us so unique and special and colorfully human aside for what is supposed to work, right? But
Yeah.
no one really knows what works for you except for you. And it kind of goes back to, I think we said this in a different episode, but you matter. Oh my God, you matter
Right.
so much. This is your
Right.
experience and you should get to have what you want, what you need.
Right. And that really is one of my favorite things that we do, which is really getting to know the person so that they get to know that themselves and they can articulate it out because it starts with who are we, right?
Mhm.
And if I
Mhm.
have a grasp of that and I feel like I know me and I know my body and I know what I'm feeling and I'm trusting it, then I can communicate it. It's
Yes.
when we're not connected to ourselves. I get so excited. I could feel it inside. It's like I love when people are like, I I've got me.
Mhm.
I got me.
Yeah. And it's so scary to do that. It can be so scary, especially when you've never done it before, right? Or you don't have people who champion you to do that, you know? Like so often people are wanting to be in service of others and there's absolutely that's beautiful. That's so beautiful. But if we're continually in service of other people and bending ourselves for everyone else's comfort, then when do you get to be comfortable? When do you get to have everything you want?
Right. And sadly, cancer is sometimes that. I think we've talked about this in the past, but let's just bring it up again. The wake up call.
Yeah.
And then and it's like, well, what are you waking up to? And I think the answer to that question is I'm waking up to me. I'm waking up to my real self, the real, authentic, true me who is unique,
Mhm.
has a unique contribution to this world, and matters. Back to your mattering, right? So once I have a grasp of me solidly, then that strength that shows up because I'm solid in me is the one that can speak to whomever I employ or I engage with for my treatment,
Mhm.
for this particular journey of cancer, so that it's something that I'm not being I don't want to, it's not being done to me, that I'm in the process with it.
Mhm. Yeah. That you're a part of the equation.
Yes,
Yeah. Absolutely. And that you're considered in it. You're not just this body that things are happening to. You have so much more happening there. And you are absolutely entitled to what happens with your body and how it makes you feel and being able to course correct if you need to. And all of this so much easier said than done. I know I kind of said that just a moment ago that it's really hard. It is really hard. And I don't expect anyone to do it alone. Neither do you, which is why at the Cancer Journey Institute we do talk about this stuff all the time and we give people a platform and a community to really um to process this all through because it's going to be different for everyone.
right.
And our
And it
coaches
has to
are
be.
so good. They're so good at listening and hearing and processing people no matter how they're showing up that day.
Right. So I'm just kind of sighing and breathing into it that the journey is something that we can, it's almost like ride on.
Mhm.
And it's not about pulling out all the stops, kind of extricating ourselves from our life and like going to war.
Mhm.
That it can be something else. And I mean, I don't know how many times we're going to say this. It feels like it's one of those things that we're going to stand at the top of the mountain and scream, but it's the invitation is to do it differently, to do cancer's journey in a way that really honors us as an individual and us based on what we want. And yeah, we don't want to be on the cancer journey. We want it to go away, and yet we're here.
Yeah.
So, what's the best way for us to honor ourselves and the treatment, whatever we choose, to get to this place? Because the end goal is the same. Everybody wants to be cancer free, done with cancer. And even if you're metastatic, it's like, can I then have cancer not take over my life, but to coexist so that I can live a life that's mine?
Yes. Yes. Because going through a cancer journey doesn't mean you stop living. Your life continues. The same you continues. You're not being drafted and removed and put in a war. And even if you are, you still are human. You're still you. And you still have power and impact in the world, no matter how much time you have.
Whew, we said a lot. I think that's a great place to pause for
Yeah.
today. So, what's one takeaway for you from this conversation?
My takeaway is it's a really good question. And good questions are ones that make you pause. It's not like I wasn't expecting it, but man, the cancer journey for whether you're a patient, survivor, or a caregiver, um, it's gonna look and feel different. But what we really want everyone who is on their cancer journey to know is that it doesn't have to be a constant battle, and it can be this journey that integrates with your life and helps it can help empower you, and that you're not alone. You're not at
Yeah.
all alone, and like I would never expect anyone to do a cancer journey alone, and I wouldn't want them to. Um and my
And
word is it's more of a phrase, but holding hands with cancer.
wow. Wow. Okay. My takeaway. I've been wanting to talk about this topic for a long time. And I think there's still more conversations to be had. And that it's a choice.
Hmm.
It's a choice that we get to make. And going back to what you said, I really like this. And you don't have to do it alone. Because battling kind of feels like it's alone, where a journey feels like there's people along with me.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So my word for right now is I'm looking at my bookshelf and there's a book there. So it's a phrase and it says from whispers to shouts. I don't want it to be aggressive like shouts, but I want it to be like louder than a whisper that
Yeah.
just kind of travels out there so people will go, huh, I don't have to battle. I can I can get through this in a different way.
Mhm. Yeah. And it sounds a lot like being heard.
There you go.
Yeah. But I like from whispers to shouts. Yay. Well, thank you for tuning in with us, and we'll be back next week.
Bye for now.